Observing Princess Anne today, it's hard to fathom that she was once a spirited tomboy brimming with personality. As the only daughter of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, Anne has carved out a unique place within the royal family, often garnering more media attention than Charles and her two younger brothers. It is said that Princess Anne had such a spectacular transformation that even Queen Elizabeth could not believe her eyes. Let's see her transformation. We all know that growing up as the Queen's only daughter placed Princess Anne in a unique position within the royal family, marked by both privilege and isolation. From a young age, she and her siblings, Charles, Andrew, and Edward, often found themselves separated from their parents due to royal duties that required extensive travel and public appearances. While this lifestyle might have been challenging for many children, Anne recognized early on the responsibilities her parents bore as monarchs. The portrayal of Queen Elizabeth II as distant and uncaring by some sections of the media has been a persistent narrative. However, Princess Anne, speaking in the BBC One documentary Queen and Country, vehemently refuted these claims. She expressed a deep conviction that there was no basis to suggest her mother lacked care or affection for her children. "I simply don't believe there is any evidence whatsoever to suggest that she wasn't caring," Anne asserted, dismissing the notion as unfounded and implausible. Despite the physical distance and the demands of royal duties that often kept them apart, Princess Anne emphasized that she never felt abandoned or unloved by her mother. She acknowledged the necessity of their parents' commitments to their roles and understood the sacrifices involved. Anne's perspective reflected a maturity beyond her years, shaped by the understanding that the monarchy required her parents' full dedication to serving the nation. In defending Queen Elizabeth II, Princess Anne highlighted the normalcy of their family dynamics behind the scenes. Contrary to public perception, she asserted that her mother cared for her and her siblings exactly the same way as any other mother did. This statement underscored the Queen's commitment to her role as a mother despite the constraints imposed by royal duties. The Queen's approach to parenting, though marked by occasional separations due to official engagements, was grounded in a genuine affection for her children. Anne's defense of her mother painted a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II as a caring and devoted parent whose love transcended the challenges of royalty. It revealed a personal side to the Queen often overshadowed by her public persona, portraying her as deeply involved in her children's lives despite the demands of her position. While Charles tended towards a more reserved demeanor, Anne's preference for the outdoors and active pursuits set her apart. Countess Mountbatten of Burma, a close family friend, described Anne in the documentary The Real Princess Anne as always very full of life, and noted her mischievous tendencies, adding that she was quite naughty in her youth. This lively and rebellious spirit was a marked contrast to the more restrained behavior typically associated with royal children. Prince Philip, known for his candid remarks and wit, humorously summarized Anne's interests by quipping, "If it doesn't fart or eat hay, she isn't interested," in reference to her deep passion for horses. Anne's love for equestrianism became a defining aspect of her personality and would later become a significant focus of her public life. As Princess Anne matured into adolescence and young adulthood, her independent spirit and straightforward nature often clashed with the expectations of royal etiquette and decorum. She gained a reputation for being sulky and bad-tempered, particularly in her interactions with the press. Anne's disdain for media scrutiny and a preference for privacy led to confrontational moments with reporters, earning her the unflattering nickname, "Her Royal Rudeness," in the tabloid press. Instances where she bluntly told journalists to naff off became infamous, further cementing her image as a no-nonsense royal who refused to conform to public expectations of royal charm and diplomacy. As the only girl among her siblings, Charles, Andrew, and Edward, Anne's relationship with her parents particularly with her father, Prince Philip, held distinctive dynamics that shaped her upbringing and personality. Known for his blunt demeanor and sarcastic wit, Prince Philip's parenting style was characterized as rigid and demanding. Royal biographer Sally Bedell Smith, in her work on Prince Charles, described Philip as a father who could be harsh with his children, often employing direct criticism and expecting high standards. This approach was particularly challenging for Prince Charles, the heir to the throne, who sometimes struggled under the weight of his father's expectations. In contrast, Princess Anne appeared to have a different relationship with Prince Philip. Described as a confident extrovert, Anne possessed a resilience that allowed her to push back against her father's criticisms rather than internalize them. This dynamic, as noted by Smith, suggests that Anne knew how to handle her father's demanding nature, maintaining a relationship with him that was both resilient and affectionate. Eileen Parker, wife of a close friend of Prince Philip, offered insights into their relationship, highlighting that Philip always had more fun with Anne. She emphasized that Anne shared many personality traits with her father, describing her as very much like Prince Philip in her approach to life and relationships. Unlike many children her age, Anne spent much of her early childhood receiving private tutoring rather than attending traditional schools, which limited her opportunities to interact with peers outside of formal settings. The decision to educate Anne privately was partly influenced by the royal family's desire to provide her with a tailored education that could accommodate her future role as a member of the monarchy. However, this also meant that Anne missed out on the social experiences typically gained through school attendance. Recognizing the importance of socialization for Anne's development, her aunt, Princess Margaret, intervened to facilitate opportunities for the young princess to interact with children her own age. Princess Margaret, known for her more unconventional approach within the royal family, played a pivotal role in encouraging Anne's participation in activities that would allow her to engage with peers in a less formal environment. One such initiative was Anne's involvement in the Girl Guides, the British equivalent of the Girl Scouts, which provided a structured platform for social interaction and personal development. To accommodate Anne's royal status and maintain her privacy, the Buckingham Palace Brownie Pack was established specifically for her. This allowed Anne to participate in regular meetings and activities within the palace grounds, thereby fostering friendships with other girls her age under more controlled and private circumstances. Reports from the time, such as those mentioned in the Spokane Daily Chronicle in 1959, highlighted Anne's enthusiastic engagement with the Brownie Pack activities. At the age of 9, she was learning practical skills like knitting and tying knots alongside her peers, activities that were not only educational, but also fostered camaraderie and shared experiences. The newspaper noted that Anne's Brownie Pack included girls from diverse backgrounds, emphasizing that not all members were from aristocratic families, thus broadening Anne's social circle beyond the royal milieu. In 1963, at the age of 13, Anne enrolled in Benenden School, an exclusive all-girls boarding school in Kent, England. This decision marked a significant transition for Anne, who until then had been largely educated through private tutoring and had limited exposure to peers her own age. The beginning of Anne's boarding school experience was not without its challenges. According to royal expert Penny Junor, in the documentary The Real Princess Anne, the school's headmistress noted that Anne was visibly nervous on her first day, to the point of becoming physically ill. This reaction highlighted the intensity of the pressure and scrutiny that accompanied being a member of the royal family, even in relatively mundane circumstances, such as starting school. Despite her initial apprehensions, Anne gradually settled into life at Benenden School and found herself thriving in the company of other girls. Junior observed that Anne seemed to relish the opportunity to experience a more normal childhood, away from the constraints and expectations of royal life. The camaraderie and companionship she found among her classmates provided a supportive environment where she could develop friendships and social skills outside of the royal bubble. However, Anne's attendance at boarding school also meant that she spent considerable time away from her family, including her siblings, Prince Charles, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward. This physical separation during their formative years contributed to a lack of deep familiarity and closeness among the royal siblings. Even as adults, they maintained a somewhat distant relationship, with infrequent contact outside of formal family gatherings. A former royal aide, speaking to the Telegraph, described the siblings' interactions as characterized by very little contact, noting that they did not engage in casual phone conversations or maintain regular communication typical of siblings who grow up together. This distance was partly a consequence of their divergent educational paths and the demands of their individual royal responsibilities as they matured. After completing her education at Benenden School, where she demonstrated her academic aptitude by achieving 6 O-levels and 3 A-levels in English, history, and politics, Princess Anne made a deliberate choice not to pursue higher education at university. Instead, she embarked on her royal duties with a determination to represent the monarchy and contribute meaningfully to public life. Anne's official entry into royal engagements began in earnest in 1969, when she was just 18 years old. This marked the beginning of her extensive involvement in representing the royal family at various events, both domestically and internationally. Her early years as a royal were characterized by a strong work ethic and a commitment to learning the intricacies of public service. One of Princess Anne's most enduring commitments has been her role as president of Save the Children, a position she assumed in 1970 and continues to hold with dedication. Her involvement with Save the Children reflects her deep-seated interest in humanitarian causes, particularly those related to children's welfare and development. Over the years, Anne's leadership within the organization has helped to raise awareness and support for numerous charitable initiatives aimed at improving the lives of vulnerable children around the world. Beyond her presidency at Save the Children, Princess Anne's life has been characterized by an extensive and diverse portfolio of charitable engagements. According to the official website of the British royal family, Anne is actively involved with over 300 charities, organizations, and military regiments in both the UK and overseas. This breadth of involvement underscores her broad-ranging interests and her commitment to addressing a wide array of social, health, educational, and environmental issues. Princess Anne's approach to charity work is marked by hands-on involvement and a practical, results-oriented mindset. She is known for her direct engagement with the causes she supports, often visiting projects and meeting with beneficiaries to better understand their needs and challenges. This personal touch has endeared her to many within the charitable sector and has reinforced her reputation as a dedicated and compassionate advocate for social change. Princess Anne experienced several notable relationships before settling down into marriage. One of the most significant of these relationships was with Andrew Parker Bowles, a figure who would later become intertwined in the royal family's saga in unexpected ways. Anne's involvement with Andrew Parker Bowles began in June 1970, marking a period when both were exploring their social circles and personal lives. However, their relationship faced a fundamental obstacle. Bowles was Catholic, and at the time, British law prohibited members of the royal family from marrying Catholics without forfeiting their place in the line of succession. This legal restriction posed a significant barrier to any prospect of marriage between Anne and Bowles, ultimately contributing to the dissolution of their romantic involvement. Despite the end of their romantic relationship, Anne and Bowles maintained a cordial friendship, which endured through the years. Interestingly, Andrew Parker Bowles would later play a role in the lives of other prominent members of the royal family. He eventually married Camilla Shand, later Camilla Parker Bowles, who had been a close friend of Princess Anne and would later become a pivotal figure in the life of Prince Charles. Camilla, who had known Andrew Parker Bowles since their youth, had been romantically involved with him on and off for several years prior to her introduction to Prince Charles. The early 1970s marked a period of overlapping relationships and social circles among these individuals. While Anne's relationship with Bowles was brief, Camilla's connection with him persisted through the years, even leading to their marriage in 1973. The dynamics of these relationships were further complicated by the evolving personal lives of those involved. Prince Charles, who first met Camilla in 1972, developed a brief romantic interest in her before his military service overseas. However, their relationship did not progress further at the time, and both Charles and Camilla would go on to marry other partners. On November 14, 1973, Princess Anne married Captain Mark Phillips in a wedding that captivated the world and left an indelible mark on royal history. The marriage of Princess Anne to Captain Mark Phillips was notable for several reasons, not the least of which was its breaking of a long-standing tradition within the British royal family. Anne's decision to marry Phillips marked the first time in over 50 years that a senior member of the royal family had wed a commoner. This departure from convention was reflective of Anne's independent spirit and her determination to forge her own path within the confines of royal expectations. The couple's relationship had its roots in a shared passion for horses, particularly equestrian sports, an interest that brought them together and would continue to play a significant role in their lives. Mark Phillips, a former Army captain, had distinguished himself as an accomplished equestrian, winning an Olympic gold medal in 1972 as part of the British equestrian team. His athletic achievements and shared enthusiasm for horses formed a strong bond between him and Princess Anne, laying the foundation for their future together. The wedding ceremony itself was a grand affair held at Westminster Abbey, one of London's most iconic and historic churches. The event was broadcast live on television, drawing an estimated global audience of 500 million viewers, who tuned in to witness the union of the Queen's only daughter. The solemnity and grandeur of Westminster Abbey provided a fitting backdrop for the royal occasion, underscoring the significance of the event in both national and international contexts. Princess Anne's choice of attire for her wedding day was both elegant and symbolic. She wore a timeless Tudor-style wedding dress adorned with intricate details, complemented by a full-length veil that added a touch of regal splendor. In a nod to tradition and familial continuity, Anne selected Queen Mary's fringe tiara, a diamond-studded piece that Queen Elizabeth II had worn on her own wedding day, as her crowning jewel. This choice not only honored her mother but also underscored Anne's connection to the lineage and traditions of the British monarchy. Following the ceremony at Westminster Abbey, Princess Anne and Captain Mark Phillips made a memorable appearance on the terrace of Buckingham Palace. Here they greeted well-wishers and onlookers who had gathered to catch a glimpse of the newlywed princess. The couple's public appearance was met with enthusiasm and admiration, reflecting the widespread interest and affectionate regard with which Anne was held by the British public and global audience alike. Just months after her wedding to Captain Mark Phillips, Princess Anne became the target of a brazen kidnapping attempt that would thrust her into the spotlight for her remarkable composure under pressure. On the evening of March 20th, 1974, as Princess Anne and her then-husband Mark Phillips returned to Buckingham Palace after attending a charity event, their car was suddenly ambushed by a young man named Ian Ball. Ball, who had a history of mental health issues, forcibly stopped the royal couple's vehicle near the palace grounds. Armed with 2 handguns, Ball approached the car with the intent to kidnap Princess Anne and demand a ransom of $2 million. His plan was to hold her captive for several days until his demands were met. However, what he did not anticipate was Princess Anne's fearless response and unwavering resolve. As Ball demanded that Princess Anne accompany him, she famously retorted, "Not bloody likely, and I haven't got $2 million." This blunt and defiant response, captured in the declassified papers released by the National Archives and reported by BBC News, underscored Anne's refusal to comply with the kidnapper's demands. Despite the gravity of the situation, Princess Anne remained remarkably composed. Reflecting on the incident later, she described it as infuriating, expressing her frustration at being targeted in such a manner. Anne's ability to maintain her composure under duress was not merely a display of royal decorum, but also a testament to her inner strength and resilience. Aware of the potential dangers, Princess Anne recalled how she carefully managed her emotions, knowing that any aggressive reaction could escalate the situation further. "I nearly lost my temper with him, but I knew that if I did, I should hit him and he would shoot me," she remarked, highlighting her pragmatic approach to handling the crisis. Meanwhile, amidst the tense standoff, Ian Ball's plans were foiled by the swift actions of a police officer who happened to be nearby. The officer, Inspector James Beaton, bravely intervened and was shot by Ball during the struggle. Despite being wounded, Inspector Beaton managed to disarm Ball and apprehend him, preventing what could have been a tragic outcome. Ian Ball was subsequently arrested and charged with attempted murder and kidnapping. Due to his mental health issues, he was detained indefinitely under the Mental Health Act rather than being sentenced to a conventional prison term. Princess Anne's affinity for horses and her exceptional talent in equestrian sports have been defining aspects of her life since childhood, culminating in remarkable achievements on the international stage and paving the way for a legacy that continues through her daughter, Zara Tindall. Born with a natural love for horses, Princess Anne's interest in equestrianism blossomed early on. Her tomboyish demeanor and adventurous spirit found a perfect outlet in the world of competitive riding. By the late 1970s, her dedication and skill propelled her into the annals of Olympic history, marking a significant milestone for the British royal family. In 1976, Princess Anne made headlines as she became the first member of the royal family to compete in the Olympic Games. She participated in the Montreal Olympics, competing in the equestrian three-day eventing competition. This achievement was not only a personal triumph, but also a groundbreaking moment that showcased her commitment to her passion amidst her royal duties. Although Princess Anne did not secure a medal at the Montreal Olympics, her participation underscored her prowess in equestrian sports and her ability to compete at the highest levels. Her performance in the Olympics was part of a broader career that had already seen notable successes in various international competitions. Prior to her Olympic debut, Princess Anne had already established herself as a formidable competitor in equestrian events. In 1971, she clinched a gold medal in the individual discipline at the European Three-Day Event Championships, a prestigious achievement that solidified her reputation as a top-tier rider. Her success continued to flourish, culminating in a silver medal in both individual and team disciplines at the European Championships in 1975. Princess Anne's achievements in equestrianism were not merely accolades, but reflections of her deep-seated passion and dedication to the sport. Her love for horses extended beyond competition. She was actively involved in promoting equestrianism and served as president of the British Olympic Association from 1983 to 1986. The influence of Princess Anne's equestrian legacy extended to her children as well. Her daughter, Zara Phillips, now Zara Tindall, inherited her mother's love for horses and pursued a successful career in equestrian sports. Zara, like her mother, achieved remarkable feats on the international stage, becoming a prominent figure in eventing. In 2006, Zara Phillips made history by winning the individual gold medal at the World Equestrian Games, a testament to her skill and determination. Her success continued to soar, culminating in a silver medal at the 2012 London Olympics in the team eventing competition. Zara's achievements mirrored those of her mother, showcasing a generational legacy of excellence in equestrian sports within the royal family. The year 1992 marked a tumultuous period for the British royal family, and for Princess Anne in particular, as she navigated personal challenges amidst the broader upheaval within the monarchy. For Princess Anne, it was a year that brought significant changes and marked the end of her marriage to Captain Mark Phillips, a union that had endured its own share of difficulties. In April 1992, headlines across the globe announced that Princess Anne had filed for divorce from Mark Phillips after a separation that spanned 2.5 years. The announcement made Princess Anne the second royal to divorce in the 20th century, following in the footsteps of her aunt, Princess Margaret, who divorced her husband in 1978. The decision to divorce marked a pivotal moment in Anne's personal life, signaling the conclusion of a marriage that had faced challenges despite its promising beginnings. The marriage between Princess Anne and Mark Phillips had captured the public's imagination when they wed in 1973. Their wedding was a grand affair held at Westminster Abbey, televised live to millions around the world, symbolizing hope and promise. However, over the years, the couple faced strains that ultimately led to their separation and eventually divorce. Reports at the time indicated that Princess Anne and Mark Phillips had grown apart due to the demands of their respective careers and interests. Anne's deep involvement in equestrianism and her extensive royal duties often took her away from home for long periods, while Phillips pursued his own career in the military and later in business. The physical distance and divergent paths contributed to tensions within their marriage, leading to their formal separation and ultimately the decision to divorce. Princess Anne's divorce was not just a personal matter, but occurred against the backdrop of a turbulent year for the royal family. 1992 became famously known as Queen Elizabeth II's Annus Horribilis, or horrible year, due to a series of scandals and crises that rocked the monarchy. Just weeks before Princess Anne's divorce filing, her younger brother, Prince Andrew, announced his separation from Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, adding to the family's public scrutiny. Moreover, the publication of Andrew Morton's controversial book, Diana, Her True Story, in the summer of 1992, sent shockwaves through the royal establishment. The book, based on secret tapes recorded by Princess Diana herself, revealed her struggles with her marriage to Prince Charles, including her battles with loneliness, bulimia, and feelings of isolation within the royal family. Diana's revelations shattered the public image of a fairy tale marriage, exposing the inner turmoil of her relationship with Prince Charles and casting a shadow over the monarchy. Adding to the turmoil, later that year, the media exposed Prince Charles's long-term affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, now the Duchess of Cornwall. The revelations further strained the public's perception of the royal family, raising questions about the future of the monarchy and its traditional values. Amidst these crises, Windsor Castle, a symbol of royal tradition and history, suffered a devastating fire in November 1992. The blaze engulfed parts of the castle, causing extensive damage and requiring substantial restoration efforts. The fire at Windsor Castle served as a poignant metaphor for the trials faced by the royal family that year, both personal and public, further emphasizing the challenges confronting Queen Elizabeth II and her children. Besides, Princess Anne's approach to parenting diverged significantly from her own upbringing within the royal family, as she sought to provide her children with a more grounded and less encumbered childhood, free from the constraints of royal titles and the associated pressures of royalty. Born into the royal household as the only daughter of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, Princess Anne experienced a childhood marked by privilege, but also by the rigors of royal duty and public scrutiny. Her upbringing was largely traditional, shaped by the expectations and responsibilities inherent in being a member of the British monarchy. When Princess Anne married Captain Mark Phillips in 1973, they made a deliberate choice to reject the offer of royal titles for their children from Queen Elizabeth II. Traditionally, royal titles are passed down through the male line, meaning that Anne's children, lacking such titles, would grow up without the formal trappings of royalty. This decision was significant as it allowed Anne's children, Peter Phillips and Zara Tyndall, to lead relatively normal lives away from the intense spotlight that accompanies royal status. The choice to forego royal titles was rooted in Princess Anne and Mark Philip's desire to shield their children from the public and media scrutiny that often defines life in the royal family. By opting for a more private upbringing, they aimed to give Peter and Zara the freedom to pursue their own paths and interests without the weight of royal expectations. Zara Tindall, in particular, has spoken openly about her gratitude for growing up without a royal title. In interviews with media outlets such as Hello Magazine and The Times, she has expressed appreciation for the opportunities this decision afforded her. Unlike her cousins, such as Prince William and Prince Harry, who were born into the direct line of succession and thus under constant public scrutiny, Zara was able to carve out a career as a champion equestrian and maintain a relatively low-profile personal life. Reflecting on her upbringing, Zara Tindall has emphasized the freedom and independence she enjoyed compared to other members of the royal family. She credits her parents' decision with allowing her to pursue her passions and interests with greater autonomy, whether in sports or in her personal life. Similarly, Peter Phillips has also embraced a life outside the royal spotlight. He has pursued a career in sports management and maintains a private life with his family, largely away from the public eye. Like his sister, Peter has appreciated the opportunity to lead a more normal life, unburdened by the obligations and expectations that come with royal titles. The decision not to grant royal titles to Princess Anne's children has also extended to her grandchildren. Neither Zara Tindall's children nor Peter Phillips's daughters carry royal titles. This deliberate choice has allowed Princess Anne's grandchildren to grow up with even greater freedom from the pressures of royalty, affording them the chance to develop their own identities and pursue their own ambitions outside of the royal sphere. Princess Anne has not only committed herself to her royal duties, but also to her family, particularly her grandchildren. Despite her busy schedule, she cherishes the time she spends with her 4 grandchildren, Mia Tindall, Lena Tindall, Savannah Phillips, and Isla Phillips. Unlike Princess Anne's own upbringing under the constant scrutiny of the public eye, her grandchildren are leading far more normal lives. This is partly due to Princess Anne's decision to decline royal titles for her children, a choice that has extended to her grandchildren, allowing them to enjoy a more private upbringing. Princess Anne's devotion to her grandchildren is evident in the way she integrates her royal engagements with family time. She is frequently seen at various events with her grandchildren, particularly those related to equestrian activities, which are a shared family passion. One notable instance was at the 2019 Gatcombe Festival of Eventing, an event hosted at her own estate, Gatcombe Park. Here, Princess Anne was seen attentively watching over her grandchildren, enjoying the event together, and even taking walks with them. This public display of affection and involvement earned her the recognition of being a loving and doting grandmother by the International Business Times. Princess Anne's commitment to her grandchildren goes beyond just attending public events. She actively participates in their upbringing, ensuring they have a grounded and fulfilling childhood. Her approach is a stark contrast to the more formal and less hands-on style that characterized her own childhood. Growing up in a royal household meant that Princess Anne and her siblings were often under the care of nannies and governesses while their parents fulfilled royal duties. However, Anne's grandchildren experience a different kind of royal life, one that includes their grandmother's active participation. The decision to lead her grandchildren away from the limelight also reflects Princess Anne's understanding of the pressures that come with royal titles. By allowing her grandchildren to grow up without the constant glare of the media, she is providing them with the freedom to develop their own identities and pursue their interests without the constraints of royal expectations. This has allowed her grandchildren to enjoy a more typical childhood, engaging in activities and hobbies that they are passionate about, much like any other children their age. Many might assume that as the head of the royal family, Queen Elizabeth II would naturally be the busiest member. However, her children, particularly Princess Anne, often carry a heavier load in terms of royal engagements. As a senior royal, Princess Anne, also known as the Princess Royal, has consistently been one of the most active members of the royal family. Her dedication to her duties is evident in the sheer number of official engagements she undertakes each year. In 2019, Princess Anne completed a staggering 506 out of the royal family's total 3,567 official engagements. This number is remarkably close to that of her older brother, Prince Charles, who topped the list with 521 engagements. In contrast, Queen Elizabeth attended 295 engagements, while the younger royals had significantly fewer commitments. Prince William attended 220 engagements, and Kate Middleton was present at 116. These figures illustrate the immense workload that Princess Anne manages, reflecting her unwavering commitment to her role. The number of engagements undertaken by the royals can fluctuate yearly. Since the 1990s, Princess Anne and Prince Charles have shouldered much of the royal workload, particularly as their parents began to reduce their public duties. This trend has continued, with both Princess Anne and Prince Charles frequently appearing at the top of the list for the most engagements. In some years, Princess Anne has even surpassed her brother, highlighting her exceptional work ethic and dedication. For instance, in both 2017 and 2018, Princess Anne completed more engagements than Prince Charles. However, Prince Charles reclaimed the top spot in 2016 and 2019. This friendly competition underscores the commitment of both royals to their duties. Their willingness to take on such a significant workload has been crucial in maintaining the public presence and responsibilities of the royal family, especially as Queen Elizabeth scaled back her engagements in her later years. Princess Anne's extensive list of engagements covers a wide range of activities. Her responsibilities include attending charity events, supporting military organizations, participating in state functions, and representing the royal family both domestically and internationally. Her work is vital in upholding the public profile and responsibilities of the monarchy. Moreover, her engagements often focus on areas she is passionate about, such as equestrian sports, education, and healthcare. Her tireless dedication is not just a recent development, but has been a hallmark of her royal career. Since her first official engagement in 1969, Princess Anne has shown an unwavering commitment to her duties. Over the decades, she has built a reputation as one of the most reliable and hard-working members of the royal family. Her involvement with over 300 charities, organizations, and military regiments, both in the UK and overseas, further attests to her deep commitment to public service. Princess Anne's ability to manage such a demanding schedule is remarkable. Her organizational skills and stamina are often highlighted by those who work closely with her. Despite the physically and mentally taxing nature of her role, she remains consistently dedicated and engaged. Her work not only supports the various causes she is involved with, but also helps to sustain the royal family's connection with the public. Princess Anne's second marriage to Timothy Lawrence in 1992 marked a new chapter in her personal life, coming shortly after her divorce from Captain Mark Phillips was finalized. Their union was held at Crathie Kirk in Scotland, a picturesque location that lent itself to a private and intimate ceremony. The choice of venue, however, was influenced by the regulations of the Church of England, which did not permit divorced individuals to remarry in its churches at the time. Timothy Lawrence, then a commander in the Royal Navy, had been a significant figure in Princess Anne's life prior to their marriage. Reports suggested that their relationship may have begun years before their wedding in 1992, with some sources indicating that Lawrence was one of several individuals with whom Anne was romantically involved during her marriage to Captain Mark Phillips. Phillips himself was rumored to have engaged in extramarital affairs during their time together, reflecting a period of strain and personal challenges in their marriage. The marriage between Princess Anne and Timothy Lawrence was viewed as a fresh start for Anne, offering the promise of companionship and stability following the end of her first marriage. Timothy Lawrence, a career naval officer, brought a sense of dedication and duty that resonated with Anne's own commitment to public service and royal responsibilities. For Princess Anne, the decision to remarry reflected her determination to move forward with her life while upholding her duties within the royal family. Unlike her first marriage, which had been marked by the pressures and public expectations of royal life, Anne and Timothy Lawrence's relationship was characterized by a more private and supportive partnership. Timothy Lawrence, who eventually rose to the rank of Vice Admiral in the Royal Navy, shared Princess Anne's passion for equestrianism and a commitment to charitable causes. Together, they supported various organizations and initiatives, contributing to their shared interests in sports, conservation, and the welfare of the armed forces. What do you think about Princess Anne? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.